What should we do if our boundaries are consistently barraged and overwhelmed? What do we do when something is intolerable to us and yet we sit back and we find ourselves tolerating it again and again and again? Hello, I'm Dr. David Hawkins, director of the Marriage Recovery Center and the Emotional Abuse Institute. This video, intervention, it's not all or nothing. It's so important for you to watch this video, share it with others, click on that subscribe button, find someone who needs to hear this topic and share it with them. Intervention, it's not an all or nothing proposition. Now, what I find in my extensive clinical experience is that we are overwhelmed by this topic of intervention. You'll remember, I hope, that intervention is at one end of the spectrum and enabling is at the other end of the spectrum. So we tend to tolerate a lot of bad behaviors. By the way, that's called enabling. And enabling is reinforcing something by our passivity or by our inconsistent responses to this issue. And intervention is when we take a stand. We say, this is intolerable, and we draw a line, a boundary about it. So, by the way, most people, when I talk to them about boundaries, they don't have any really. Complaints? Oh yes, lots of complaints, lots of concerns, but very few boundaries, and they don't have the tool delineated for how they're going to conduct an intervention. All right, so I want to give you 3 points that I want you to consider. Point number 1, when it comes to interventions, we tend to react in extremes. That's right, we tend to react in extremes. What does that mean? Well, we tend to either do nothing or we blow up. And those extreme reactions, by the way, somebody smaller than me says, we need to not react, we need to respond. And respond means a thoughtful response. A reaction is a chaotic reaction that has very little impact. It just stirs things up, but it doesn't really create definition in a relationship. All right, point number 2 then. We need to anticipate areas of concern and develop incremental strategies. One more time. We need to anticipate areas of concern. Come on, we know what they are. We know what we're concerned about. And then we need to develop incremental strategies. All right, what might that look like? It might look like this. You know what? I don't like it when you're upset with me that you swear. I don't like that. And going forward, I'm going to let you know very clearly the moment you use vulgar language with me, I'm going to step away from the relationship. And then I'm going to step back into the relationship once you've taken ownership for how you have talked to me. All right. Point number 3. So we incrementally, so the second time it happens, we would maybe be sterner, be louder, we might step away quicker. Point number 3 is so critically important, everyone. And that is, since we're doing incremental strategies, point number 3 is consistency convinces. It's the consistency of saying, oh my goodness, you've just sworn at me again. I told you that when you swear at me, I'm going to step away from the relationship for a short period of time. And then I'll step back in when you've agreed to talk to me respectfully. All right. Now, if I do that again and again and again and again, so I don't have to divorce and I don't have to do nothing. And that's what we tend to do, folks. We do all or nothing. And interventions don't need to be that way. I want to remind you of something. Most people, I'm going to get pushback on this concept, I think, but most people who've been married for any period of time, they don't really want to lose the relationship. Oh, I know you're telling me, wait a minute, you don't know my husband or my wife, they don't care. Most people care. And think about if you were to leave for a week, and I'm not recommending that you separate, but if you were to separate for a week, what would happen? I think your mate would care. And again, we're not thinking all or nothing. We're thinking incremental interventions. All right, so again, intervention is not an all or nothing proposition. 3 points again. Number one, we tend to react in extreme ways, doing nothing or blowing up. Number two, we need to anticipate areas of concern and develop incremental stair-step strategies of intervention. First time being, I'm going to tell you that I don't like the way you're talking to me. The second time being, I'm going to step out of the room if you use vulgar language. Third time, you step out of the room. Fourth time, you step out of the room quicker, and so on, and so on, and so on. Third point, consistency convinces, and it does. There's a concept I want to weave into this video, and it's this. Emotional stability is contagious. Emotional stability is contagious. So in other words, when we manage ourselves and we manage ourselves effectively, those around us will tend to manage themselves commensurate to how we're conducting ourselves. Is it always true? Not at all. But sometimes, and in fact, often. All right, intervention. It's not an all or nothing proposition. Practice these steps. By the way, tell me, what do you think about this? Give me your comments. Do you agree with me that we tend to react in extremes? Do you agree with me that we need to anticipate areas of concern? Do you agree with me that we need to have incremental strategies and interventions? And do you agree with me or disagree with me that consistency over time, as we practice this in our core self, emotionally balanced functioning, will tend to have an impact? All right, love to hear from you. As always, take care, God bless, and if you want help from us, please call our client care team. We're ready to offer you help. Take care, and again, God bless.